All right, so buckle up, everyone, because today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty fascinating.
Yeah, we're going to try and break down the US automotive industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're not going to drown you in a sea of numbers, promise.
We've pulled some highlights from some recent reports just about all things United States, the economy, different industries, the works.
So really the goal here is for us to try and understand a few things, like, what types of vehicles are being built here in the US, who's buying them, and how's the US doing compared to the rest of the world in the car game.
Right. So to kind of set the stage, we're talking about a massive market here. 335 million people.
Wow.
With a GDP, get this, of $27.4 trillion.
That's huge.
It is, and that's a lot of potential car buyers out there.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, it's no secret that Americans love their cars. I mean, heck, there's already 292 million vehicles on the road in the US.
That's like, almost one car for every person?
Yeah, pretty much. It's mind-blowing. And even with all those cars already out there, the industry's not slowing down.
Not at all. U.S. automakers still produced a whopping 10.6 million new vehicles for 2023.
10.6 million. That's a lot of new cars.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to look at the breakdown of that production.
Okay, yeah. What's the split?
Well, a large chunk of it, 8.9 million, were commercial vehicles.
Oh, wow. So that's like trucks and vans and things like that.
Exactly. So it seems like businesses are really investing in their fleets. Probably because industries that rely on transportation and logistics are still growing like crazy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you think about all the deliveries and shipping happening these days.
It's nonstop.
So commercial vehicles are really the backbone of the economy. Okay, so we talked about production. What about actual sales? Are people actually buying all these new cars?
Oh, they are. New vehicle registrations were up over 12%.
So the demand is definitely there. But, the big question is who's winning the car wars? Which brands are at the top?
The usual suspects, you might say. General Motors is still king of the hill. They sold 2.7 million vehicles. But Toyota and Ford are breathing down their neck.
Oh, really? Ford's doing that well.
Oh, yeah. Ford saw a 13% jump in sales. Pretty impressive.
Makes you wonder if the tides are starting to turn. Are those classic American brands starting to make a comeback?
It's a possibility, although it's interesting, right? Because when you look at the top 5 brands, it's all the big established companies. You don't see any of the newer EV makers up there yet.
Ah, that's a really good point. So like Tesla and Rivian and those guys, they're not cracking the top 5 yet.
Nope, not yet. It'll be interesting to see how that changes as the EV market keeps growing. But speaking of the top 5, have you seen the list of the most popular models?
No. What's on there?
Well, it's kind of a mix of old and new. You've got your classic American pickup trucks.
Had to be on there, right?
Of course, the F-Series and the Silverado are still at the top. But then you've got some popular SUVs in the mix too, like the Toyota RV4 and the Honda CR-V.
Yeah.
And...
is it a Tesla?
You got it. The Model Y.
Wow, that's pretty impressive for an EV.
It is. So it seems like we're seeing a couple of trends here.
Okay, what do you think those are?
Well, first, the love affair with pickup trucks is definitely still strong, especially here in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so versatile. You can haul stuff, go off-roading, they just kind of do it all.
Exactly. And then the other trend is the rise of SUVs. They're becoming more and more popular.
I can see why. They've got more space. They're usually a bit more fuel efficient than those big trucks.
Right. And a lot of people like that higher driving position too. So it makes sense that SUVs are appealing to a lot of buyers. Now, another interesting thing to think about is how people are actually getting these vehicles. Are they buying them outright, or are we seeing more leasing these days?
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
Well, leasing is definitely a big part of the market. There are some major players in the leasing game, like Element Fleet Management and Enterprise. They're really focused on fleet management.
Fleet management. Explain that one to me.
Sure. So it's basically when businesses with a lot of vehicles outsource all the hassle of owning them. So financing, maintenance, even getting rid of them when it's time.
That's actually really smart, especially for companies with tons of vehicles. Takes a lot off their plate.
Exactly. Makes things a lot more efficient. And it ties in with what we talked about earlier, with all those commercial vehicle sales, fleet management is a natural fit.
Yeah, it's all connected. All right, so we've talked about the cars, the brands, who's buying them. But we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, gas prices.
Oh yeah, that's always a fun topic. Brace yourselves, folks. Gasoline is currently sitting at a painful 89 cents per liter. That's over $3 a gallon for our American friends.
Ouch, my wallet hurts just hearing that.
Yeah, It's not pretty, and diesel isn't much better either. But here's the kicker. Electricity is way cheaper, like 18 cents per kilowatt hour for households.
Okay, that is a big difference. I mean, it's no wonder people are starting to think about EVs more seriously.
Right. The cost savings are hard to ignore. Although, there are still some challenges when it comes to EVs, like the whole charging infrastructure thing. There just aren't enough charging stations in a lot of places.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. I mean, even if electricity is cheaper, it's not really helpful if you can't find anywhere to charge your car.
Exactly. So that's definitely something that needs to be addressed if EVs are going to go mainstream.
Yeah, if they want everyone to jump on board, they got to make it convenient. Okay, so let's take a step back for a second and kind of recap what we've learned about the U.S. auto market. It's a dynamic market, right? Strong demand for both personal and commercial vehicles. SUVs are gaining popularity, and fuel costs are pushing people towards EVs.
Right. But there are still some hurdles to overcome, like the charging infrastructure issue. And then there are all these other factors at play that we don't always think about, like the influence of marketing and public perception. It all makes you wonder, what's next?
Yeah, what does the future hold for the American driver and for the American car?
Exactly. And for all of you listening out there, think about this. What role will you play in shaping that future?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
See you next time.
See ya.